I guess especially on like a Saturday of the leaderboard, where you are on it, especially
to those right back pins out of the rough or even out of the fairway.
Is there a term for this type of golf and conditions? Like, what would you call it if you had to?
Damp.
The second best player in the world just admitted, on a podcast, unprompted, in brutal detail, that Scottie Scheffler has broken him psychologically. And what he said should make every golf fan stop and think about what dominance actually costs the people living in its shadow. This is not about one bad round. This is not about losing a tournament in a playoff. This is about a two-time major champion, a man who won both the PGA Championship and the Open in the same calendar year, sitting down and confessing that his own achievements feel meaningless because of what one other player is doing. Xander Schauffele is the world number 3. He has been in the top 5 in the world for 5 consecutive years. He is one of the most statistically complete players on the PGA Tour. And Scheffler has made him feel, as Schauffele put it himself, like it hasn't been very special. Honestly, I think what Schauffele said on that podcast is the most honest and most damaging thing a top 5 player has publicly admitted about a rival since Tiger Woods was at his peak, and nobody in golf media gave it the attention it deserved. Is Scheffler's dominance bad for professional golf? Or is having a generational talent at the top exactly what the sport needs right now? Drop it in the comments. And if you want the full inside story on what Scheffler is doing to the confidence of the players chasing him, subscribe, because this story goes much deeper than any leaderboard.
Let's set the scene, because the timeline here matters. Xander Schauffele won the 2024 PGA Championship at Valhalla and the Open Championship at Royal Troon, 2 majors, in the same year, a feat achieved by only a handful of players in modern golf history. He was ranked 2nd in the world. He was the unanimous consensus pick as Scheffler's most dangerous challenger. The narrative was set. This was going to be a 2-man race at the top of professional golf. And then 2025 happened. Schauffele missed 8 weeks of the 2025 season with a rib injury, a perfect storm, he called it, that he traced to his personal trainer leaving to renew his visa in December 2024, leaving Schauffele to train on his own and gradually aggravate something he felt before Christmas. When he came back, the rhythm was gone. His strokes gained off the tee dropped to 86th on tour. His strokes gained putting fell to 130th. For a player who had been inside the top 45 in every major statistical category just 12 months earlier, those numbers represented one of the sharpest single-season collapses for a top 5 player in recent memory. He failed to make the Tour Championship for the first time as a professional. Meanwhile, Scheffler won 9 tournaments worldwide and was named PGA Tour Player of the Year for the 4th consecutive time, matching Tiger Woods' streak from 1999 to 2003. Schauffele won 2 majors in 2024. Scheffler won 9 events that same year, and the Player of the Year award still went to Scheffler. Let that land. 2 majors. Player of the Year still went elsewhere. That is how wide the gap is at the top of professional golf right now, and it is exactly that gap that drove Schauffele to say what he said on the Earn Your Edge podcast in October 2025.
Xander Schauffele is a 2-time major champion. He's been ranked inside the world's top 5 for 5 consecutive seasons. He is not a fragile personality. He is one of the most analytically grounded, emotionally measured players on tour. His coach, Chris Como, has worked with him for years to build a mental framework that handles pressure without breaking. He is not someone given to dramatic confessions. So when Schauffele sat down on the Earn Your Edge podcast and spoke openly about his 2025 state of mind, understand that what followed was deliberate and considered, not a vent. He said this, "On reflection, I'm in a weird place. I've been angry, I've been sad. I've been excited to play and sad again because I couldn't, trying to come back and then being halted." And then the line that stopped everyone who actually read the transcript. Guys like Scottie Scheffler, I have achieved a lot, but in a sick way, he's made it not very special in my competitive mind because I'm still so far away from him. In a sick way. A 2-time major champion describing his own accomplishments as not very special, not because they lack objective merit, but because the player in the same era has made the standard so impossibly high that winning a PGA championship no longer feels like reaching the summit. It feels like getting to base camp. You spent 15 years building your game to the point where winning 2 majors in 1 year felt possible. You did it. The trophy photographs exist. The career record is real. And then you go to the end of your banquet, or you read the analysis columns, and you realize that the conversation is never about what you did. It is always about how far behind Scheffler you still are. 2 major trophies, and the dominant narrative of your year is still someone else's 9 wins. Schauffele then added, My plants got absolutely stomped out. I'm trying to train my brain right now to think why not come back and play really well. His plant, his confidence, stomped out. Not by a bad stretch of golf, not by a missed cut at the wrong time, by watching another human being redefine what elite looks like, week after week, tournament after tournament, until his own two-major season felt like a footnote. Is what Scheffler is doing to the confidence of the players around him bad for the sport? Or does having a true generational talent at the top make everyone's achievements more meaningful? Drop it below. I read every single one.
Now let's look at what the data actually says, because this is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable. Schauffele in 2024, top 10th in strokes gained off the tee, 2nd in strokes gained tee to green, 6th in approach, 12th in putting, 2nd in total, 2nd in the entire world. Scheffler in 2024, 2nd off the tee, 1st tee to green, 1st in approach, 77th in putting, 1st in total. Schauffele was 2nd to Scheffler in almost every meaningful category in 2024. And then, with a rigorously elite skill set and 2 major trophies to his name, he still finished the year being described as the guy who was behind. Not close behind, far behind. Analysts have said publicly that you could make the argument that it's Xander Schauffele, not Scottie Scheffler, who's actually the most well-rounded, most complete player on the PGA Tour. Not who wins the most, who has the most balanced, replicable, transferable excellence across every category. And still, Scheffler wins 9. Scheffler wins Player of the Year. Now here is the part nobody is talking about. In 2026, Schauffele came into the season healthy. 3 months off, coaching sessions with Chris Como, putting work, full preparation. He had 5 top 10 finishes in his first 9 events of 2026. He finished in the top 10 at the Masters, T8, despite the disruption of a rib injury that resurfaced briefly. He went to the PGA Championship in Arnhem and said, "Confidence is a tricky thing," admitting he was a little bit in my head on what I was capable of doing heading into a major where he was the defending champion. Defending champion, and still second-guessing himself. Tiger Woods did this to a generation of players. David Duval, Vijay Singh, Ernie Els, all world-class talents, all top 5 players, all competing in the same era. Every one of them described playing against Tiger as a different psychological experience from playing against anyone else. Not because Tiger was cheating, not because the rules were different, because watching someone operate at that level, week in, week out, rewires the baseline of what elite is supposed to feel like. It becomes the wall you cannot see over. Schauffele is the first player in the Scheffler era to say that out loud, on the record, with full names attached. Here is the question nobody in that locker room is willing to answer publicly. Is Scheffler's dominance so complete that it is changing what the players around him believe they are capable of? Because that is what Schauffele just described. Not a talent gap, a belief gap. And belief gaps in professional sport are harder to close than any swing flaw.
There is one player who has publicly pushed back against the idea that Scheffler's dominance is demoralizing the field, and it is Tommy Fleetwood. Fleetwood, the reigning FedEx Cup champion, the man who climbed to world number 3 in 2025 after one of the most consistent seasons any player has produced in years, was asked directly in Dubai this year whether chasing Scheffler and McIlroy was daunting. His answer was measured and genuine. He said, "I really think Scottie and Rory, they already are, but definitely when we look back at this time, those two are going to be very high up there and the greatest players of all time. To be the next guy at this current time, I just think it's very, very cool and very special." He framed it as an opportunity, as inspiration. He said being the next guy in an era of genuine greatness is something to embrace, not run from. And Fleetwood is right. He is not wrong that the framing matters, that Schauffele winning 2 majors in the same year Scheffler won 9 is an achievement most players would consider the peak of their careers. But here is why even Fleetwood's measured perspective cannot hold the line on what Schauffele actually described. Fleetwood is the player who has decided to adapt his framing. Schauffele is the player who revealed, honestly and specifically, that the adaptation is not working, that even with 2 major trophies and a world top 3 ranking, the psychological math is not adding up, that Scheffler has made him feel like he is still far away. Those are 2 very different responses to the same pressure. Is Tommy Fleetwood's embrace the era mindset the psychologically healthy way to chase Scheffler? Or is Schauffele's brutal honesty about the confidence damage actually the more accurate read of what's happening in that locker room? Drop it in the comments. Here is what the current standings at the Memorial Tournament are showing us right now, and why this matters for everything Schauffele described on that podcast. Scheffler is grinding at Muirfield Village. He shot 73 in round 1, only 7 greens in regulation, his second worst GIR performance of his entire PGA Tour career. He is 10 shots off the lead heading into the weekend. He is, by the standards of the last 3 years, struggling. Schauffele is in contention. 5 top 10s in his last 8 events, 8 consecutive top 25 finishes at Muirfield Village, statistically ranking 7th in the field in true strokes gained tee to green this season. The analysts say he feels just a few minor details off, and even with those details off, he is right where he should be on a leaderboard. In 2026, Scheffler has not won a tournament since January, the American Express, 5 months, winless. He has had 3 runner-up finishes in that stretch. He has been close without getting over the line. And yet, despite 5 months without a win, despite a 73 in round 1 at Muirfield Village, the betting market still installed him as a top 4 favorite to win the Memorial this week. That is the weight Schauffele is carrying, not just competing against a player who is dominant, competing against a player who, even at his worst, the market still trusts more than everyone else.
Step back from the leaderboard. Step back from the statistics. Step back from the podcast quotes. Imagine you are Xander Schauffele. You are 31 years old. You have been ranked in the top 5 in the world since you were 26. You have won 2 major championships. You have played in every Ryder Cup since 2018 and scored more points than any American at Bethpage. You have never had a losing season. You have never failed to compete at the highest level. And you are sitting on a podcast admitting that another man's excellence has made your own feel inadequate. Not because you have done less, because the standard he has set is so high that the normal vocabulary of achievement no longer applies when you are in the same conversation. This is what a true generational talent does to an era. It does not just win, it rewrites what winning means. It does not just set a standard, it moves the standard to a place that breaks down the confidence of everyone trying to reach it, even the people who are objectively brilliant. Xander Schauffele is not a struggling player. He is a brilliant player being slowly disassembled, mentally, not physically, by proximity to something unprecedented. And the most troubling part is not what Schauffele admitted on that podcast. It is that Schauffele is brave enough to say it publicly. Every other player in that locker room is thinking it. Every single one. Nobody else is saying it. Is Scheffler's dominance era the best thing that has happened to competitive golf in a generation, or is it slowly draining the competitive oxygen out of the rest of the field? Drop your answer right now. Here is the single moment this story is building toward. Shinnecock Hills, 13 days from now, the US Open, the career Grand Slam for Scheffler, his 30th birthday on the final round Sunday. Schauffele will be in the field. His game is in the best shape it has been in 18 months, 5 top 10s in 9 starts. Statistically, a top 10 player in tee to green performance this season. Mentally, according to his own words, still working to convince himself that he belongs at the level Scheffler occupies. That is the matchup nobody is framing correctly. Not Scheffler chasing a Grand Slam. Schauffele trying to remember that 2 major trophies and a world top 3 ranking is actually enough to win a golf tournament, even against the best player in the world. I genuinely believe Schauffele wins the US Open before Scheffler does. If you want the inside story when that first tee sheet drops at Shinnecock Hills, subscribe, because the most psychologically loaded US Open in a generation is 11 days away. This story is not over. Let's set the scene, because the timeline here matters. Xander Schauffele won the 2024 PGA Championship at Valhalla and the Open Championship at Royal Troon, 2 majors, in the same year, a feat achieved by only a handful of players in modern golf history. He was ranked 2nd in the world. He was the unanimous consensus pick as Scheffler's most dangerous challenger. The narrative was set. This was going to be a 2-man race at the top of professional golf. And then 2025 happened. Schauffele missed 8 weeks of the 2025 season with a rib injury, a perfect storm, he called it, that he traced to his personal trainer leaving to renew his visa in December 2024, leaving Schauffele to train on his own and gradually aggravate something he felt before Christmas. When he came back, the rhythm was gone. His strokes gained off the tee dropped to 86th on tour. His strokes gained putting fell to 130th. For a player who had been inside the top 45 in every major statistical category just 12 months earlier, those numbers represented one of the sharpest single-season collapses for a top 5 player in recent memory. He failed to make the Tour Championship for the first time as a professional. Meanwhile, Scheffler won 9 tournaments worldwide and was named PGA Tour Player of the Year for the 4th consecutive time, matching Tiger Woods' streak from 1999 to 2003. Schauffele won 2 majors in 2024. Scheffler won 9 events that same year, and the Player of the Year award still went to Scheffler. Let that land. 2 majors. Player of the Year still went elsewhere. That is how wide the gap is at the top of professional golf right now, and it is exactly that gap that drove Schauffele to say what he said on the Earn Your Edge podcast in October 2025.